Hi, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to take the carburetor off of our Yamaha. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button. Also check me out on Instagram at Car Garage. Let's get started. Alright, so I've already started stripping stuff down. So episode 4 is the air filter for taking it off. But if you want the quick cliff notes for it, you got 3 bolts you got to take out there, 1, 2, and 3, and then you got to get in with a Phillips screwdriver and loosen that off. And then you have the line that goes on here, has a clamp on it, so you just got to get that clamp off and the line pulls off, and then the whole air box will remove. And then episode 24 is taking the gas tank off. It's fully gas, and I have some lights on here for my underglow lights, and I didn't feel like getting into the wiring and disconnecting them, so I just have it secured on the back and propped up. It gives me enough room to work. And then episode 31 is putting the gas tank and everything back on, and episode 32 will be resetting the clock. So if you need any of that stuff, you should be able to find all the information you need in those episodes. And we're going to carry on from the point that we're at, which is the reason I'm taking the carburetor off, to put a bigger needle in the seat in. That's the main reason. Alright, so I've kind of gone ahead and started loosening a few things off and getting stuff ready. So this is the line that went to the air box right here. And then I've already loosened off the nuts for the throttle cables. And they just will slip out like that, then we'll be able to slip them off the carburetor. So we're on the right side of the bike, we're going to have to remove the throttle cables. And then we also got to remove the adjuster for the idle. So we should be able to just push up on that and then pull it right through this bracket. So there's that off. And then, so we're going to worry about those throttle cables once we get the carburetor out a little further, so it'll be easier to get to everything, so we won't have the jug of the cylinder kind of blocking us. So now we're going to go on to the other side of the bike. Alright, there should be a chrome cover right here, and it's just held on by 2 Phillips screws right down underneath here, if you got to take that off. So we have a few things on this side that we need to disconnect, so we're able to pull the carburetor right out on the other side. So I'm going to open up this fuel line right here, and we're going to open up the clamp and put a little bit of tape on it to get dirt on, and that will pull through. And then up here we got 2 electrical connectors right here and here. We're going to open those up. One of them goes to the throttle positioning sensor, and the other one goes to the carburetor heater. So when we get those out, we should be able to pull everything through. And then our last thing is our choke. So we got to get that off too. So this nut here, I've already loosened it off. It's a 17 millimeter wrench. So you can just loosen that right off, pull it through, and then you can just pull it out. As you can see, the hole is slotted. So now your whole choke assembly will all pull through to the other side as well. And now we're going to open up these electrical connectors. There's one. The other one's a little bit easier style. It's just a 2-prong. Then we'll just open up this fuel line. Probably a little bit of gas in it. There's that. And that should be everything for this side. So now we should be able to go back to the other side and pull things through. Alright, so we should have everything loose that we should be able to pull the carburetor out. There's a little clamp behind the carburetor that I'll show you once the carburetor's off, because I won't be able to get the camera in to see with the carburetor on to show you where it is. And it's just a number 3 Allen key. So I was able to just use my Allen key to get in there. I think I got it loose enough, so hopefully it will all pull out. There's carburetor free. And everything else wanting to come with it, which is good. So now we can slide our throttle cables off. That's the back. And then this one here is the front. Now we just gotta gently jiggle all our connectors and everything through. Keep in mind of where things were routed so you can route them back in the same spot again. Alright, so there is our carburetor. So they're fairly simple-ish. So you got your choke cable right here. And then we got our fuel line right here. And then this 3-prong connector goes to our throttle position sensor right there. So as you give it gas, it sees, since it shows where the computer or the butterfly is. And then we got this 2-prong connector here. That's for the carburetor heater right down here on the bottom. And then right here we have our throttle, or our right here we have our idle adjustment. So you turn it or forward or backwards, left or right to change the idle. And then right here, this is our accelerator pump. I'm not sure if there's enough fuel in here or not, but when I give it throttle, if there's fuel in the accelerator pump, it will shoot out of this little guy here. We'll see if it will go. Not sure if you've seen that little squirt or not. A lot of the gas ran out of the bowl. So I'm going to put this on in a safe spot and we'll get back to it. Whenever you have your intake opened up, it's always good to make sure you're keeping dirt out. So I'm just going to shove a clean rag into it so no dirt or fibers or anything can get in. Just like that, just to keep anything out. And then right here, you can see that. That's the number 3 Allen key that you got to loosen off for the backside of the carburetor. This is your carb boot right here that goes to the 2 cylinders. So, wasn't too bad to get it off. You might be able to leave your tank on to do it, but this gives a little bit more room to see, and it definitely gives a little more room to work. But with the cameras, trying to record it, it's nice having a little extra visibility. Alright, so we're going to start putting everything back together. So we're going to go basically reversed order. So we're going to take our rag out. Make sure there's no dirt or anything in there. That feels pretty good, looks pretty good. So now we're going to shove all of these to the other side of the bike. So we got our fuel line, we got our choke, we got our carb heater, and we got our throttle position sensor. And then the idle adjustment stays on this side. And I left this on, so when I get it in, I can put it over, and then I can double check the fuel level in the bowl before I finish putting it all the way back together. So we're just going to slip it in, and then slip this portion into the boot. And then before we get too far, we're going to get our throttle cables on. This was the front. It just slips in and around. And this was the back. Same thing, just in and then around. goes there. That goes there. And the carb's just loosely sitting there. I'm going to make sure nothing's binding us up on the other side, and then I'm going to come over and push it the rest of the way in. Alright, we look not too bad on the other side, so we're going to work it in a little bit further. I want to make sure that we're sitting level. So that looks pretty good there. And now we're going to tighten the clamp on the inside there so the carburetor can't fall off. Alright, that feels pretty good, and that was with our number 3. And now we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to connect our fuel line. We still got to do our other connectors and everything, but we just want to triple check the fuel level in this bowl before we get any further. Just in case on the workbench it didn't go perfect. Things were kind of moving on me a bit. But this is on the bike how it's going to be sitting, so this is the best spot. Only bummer is that if it's not right, we got to pull it back off. Alright, so I threw an Allen key onto the drain bolt on the bowl. So once we get the fuel line hooked up and the fuel open, we'll let the bowl fill up, and then I can open that up and we can see how our level's doing. Alright, so the fuel line's reconnected. And then we're going to shove this onto the bottom of the bowl drain plug very carefully. And now we'll go back to the other side, and we'll make sure that we have everything where we want it. Then we'll turn the fuel on, and then we'll start checking the level of the bowl again. Alright, I'm just going to tape this up a little bit so it kind of stays in place where we want it. I can probably go right around the top of the carburetor. So now we'll be able to see our level here. I'm going to turn the fuel on. I'm going to wait a minute, and then I'm going to crack open that drain on the bottom of the bowl, and we'll see the level come up. Alright, so I'm going to, we have a big air pocket in here, so I'm just going to kind of let the air out, and then back up, and it's holding a nice level. And even if I let it go higher than it should, so there's gas up to here, I bring it up, the gas is settling, and the gas stopped right there, which is right where we want it. So I'm going to call that good, and we can do that again, just for demonstration. So as you can see, the gas is right at the top. I'm going to raise it up. You can see the gas going to the level, and that's pretty much right about where we want it. So I'm going to call that good there. I'll tuck this back up. Alright, so that line is closed now. This is what I was using to reach it. Once I got it broke free, I could take the universal joint off, but that's how I was able to reach it from the other side. So now we can get this gas line off. And now we can get our idler adjuster back in place. So we're just going to slide it underneath that bracket. and then back up, and it just pushes down and clips in, and that's good now. And now we can tighten our throttle cables, just so we know that we're good there. That's all good. So we're done on this side, other than the air box, and we're not going to show that on this video. Alright, so now we can plug our cables back in. So I'm going to plug the throttle position cable in first, and the connector will only go in one way. Make sure you get past the lock. And then we'll get the other cable for the carb heater plugged in. The same thing, make sure you're past the lock and it grabs. And then this cable here, that's just our old fuel pump wiring. And there was a tie wrap going around here, so we're going to add another tie wrap on right now. We're just going to go around just so it doesn't, so they don't sit on the head. I'm going to tuck that old fuel pump one in there too. We're not going to need that anymore. And now we're going to slide our choke cable in. And we'll just snug that up with our 17 mil. That's good. Our fuel line's on. And the clamp's on. When we get the tank back down, we're going to triple check the routing of everything. But we are good to go. So we should be able to fire this up. Make sure it runs, so we give it some choke. Everything's connected. Put our key in. And yes, your bike will run without the cluster on it. Now we'll try firing it up. Alright, bike runs, it seems not bad, so we can finish getting it back together, get everything closed up, and take it for a test drive, but it looks like we're pretty good. So I was giving it a little bit of gas there from the little tiny silver piece. So from this guy right here, you should have seen that shooting fuel. And then this slide with the vacuum, it was working up, and that's how you get your bigger carburetor. It's almost like the old 4-barrel carburetors with vacuum secondary. It's kind of the same thing. So having the smaller opening just gives you better drivability at lower throttle, and when you start to open it up, you get your full bore. And then that butterfly back there, that's worked off of your throttle. It's hard to see, but it's worked off your throttle there, and this is worked off a vacuum. Alright, bike's all together. Seems to be good. I still need to take it for a test drive, but everything else for the fuel pump delete's already been done for a few weeks. The needle in the seat and the carb was my last step I had to do, so I have pretty good faith that everything's going to be good to go. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button, and also check me out on Instagram at Clara Garage. Have a great night.